Hey guys, what's up? It's Jer. Look at this thing. Just look at it. I love it. It's a microphone that I got that I use for recording for my college degree and stuff I had to do for that. And so I felt all fancy going out and buying stuff I need for a little recording studio. I had all these plans. I'm like, I'm going to do all the music. I'm going to start playing music in front all the time. I'm going to sing. Haven't done it once. Not even once. And I've had this for like 4 years. So I'm finally being able to use it for realsies and actually put it to use. So thanks for the opportunity, guys. Now listen, we got a lot of stuff we got to talk about. Actually, that's a lie. We don't have a lot of stuff to talk about because we don't have very many events going on. We're not doing much out and about. In fact, right now, as I'm recording this, we should be in Gatlinburg right now. So, I mean, the closest thing I had to that was I went for a run and it started raining on me yesterday. Yeah, that's about the closest thing to Gatlinburg we have. It was really hot, and then it started raining, and then it got hot again, and so I was walking in drenched clothes and sweating through the drenched clothes. Golly, it's like an authentic experience! All I needed is Bill running past me wearing just a skivvy saying, "Keep up, Chair!" And then maybe it would have felt just like Gatlinburg. But in any case, whether or not we are in Gatlinburg or in Highlands County, Florida, regardless, God's still here. God's just as much here as God was on the mountain. And that's why I try to tell us that all the time when we're up there. I'm like, guys, it doesn't have to only be here. And now we're living it. God is just as present here. God is just as much active in the world now, in 2020, in this summer of the coronavirus. Like all of this right now, God is active and moving and changing and transforming in all of our lives and in the whole world. So that's awesome. Let's dedicate our night in the direction of getting to get into that flow that God is establishing, the flow in the direction of beauty and complete wholeness and away from the pain and destruction of our own past. Let's do this. First, I have an interesting game I want to try and see how it works in this medium, I guess. Okay, so y'all have seen me do my game. I wanted to try it here, just to see how it goes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say something that I need. Maybe we might put a little picture up in the corner or something. We'll see how it goes. But what I need... see what I'm doing here? Is when I say something that I need y'all to go and take a picture of whatever it is I'm saying that I need. Okay? So, we're going to practice, okay? Ready? I need a number 2 pencil. Okay? I need 1 knee-high sock. I need a cell phone. How's he gonna take a picture of a cell phone if he's holding a cell phone? I hope you have a friend. No, really, actually, that's pretty important because I need a friend. Take a picture of a friend. I wish I had friends. And then, last but not least, I need your favorite Bible verse. Show me. Let me see what it is. And that kind of makes me think of another game that I might do for next week. Anyways, now that we got that ridiculousness out of the way, let's get into some praise. If you're sitting at home and you can't necessarily just start bust out singing, "La!" Don't. Try not to scare your family. Try not to. If it happens, it happens. But if you can sing your heart out. If you're not worried about what other people think. Sit at home, pop your earbuds in, put it on the TV, however you're going to be enjoying this. Listen to it, live it, feel it, enjoy it. We all enjoyed it making it. Please, I hope you enjoy receiving it. And the amazing word that Eddie's got for us tonight, let's listen up. It's gonna make some changes. I love you guys. I'll see you out the end.
Time after time, season after season, at my highest highs and my lowest lows, you've always been there, 'cause you're the faithful one. Faith is failing, you are faithful. And when my strength is failing, you're still able. And when my faith is failing, you are faithful. And when my strength is failing, you're still able. The faithful one, oh, 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 you're the faithful one, oh, 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 you're the faithful one, oh, 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 you're the faithful one, to you, oh lead me to the cross. You were as I tempted
Hey guys, the last few weeks we've been talking about, or we've been in a series called Being, or That Guy, or That Girl, being that person that you want to be one day. And so remember I told you the first week that Christopher put up on his wall of being that guy, of who he wants to be, and he put up like 100 different things of what he wants to be. So one of those things that he said that he wanted to be that guy that listens to his parents, that obeys his parents. And I said last week that we're going to start taking some of these and start breaking them down. So this one is kind of, I would say it's my favorite, but probably my favorite should be him wanting to be the man of God. And if you're the man or woman or girl or whatever of God, then you are, I think everything else is kind of covered. But let's start on this subject here, obeying your parents. Now, this sounds like probably a boring Bible study or a boring subject, or a subject that you don't want to hear anything about. Why? Because you're a teenager, and at this point in time in your life, you probably think that you know everything there is to know about life. But the Bible actually talks about obeying your parents quite a few times in it. And in the New Testament, in Ephesians 6:2, it says for teenagers or kids or what, even at my age, we should be obeying our parents. But it actually says to honor your parents, your mother and your father. And then it says that this is the one commandment that God has given us that comes with a promise. And that promise comes all the way back from Exodus 20, verse 12. And it says and it's one of the 10 commandments. It says to honor your parents. And if you do honor your parents, your mom and dad, what they say, what they do, or tell you to do, then your days, the Bible says your days will be numbered. Now that's crazy. So if you obey your parents, you're going to live longer, is what the Bible says. Now, I don't think that there's any kind of, but on the flip side, on the flip side, in Deuteronomy 27:16, it says that if you don't obey your parents, you'll be cursed, which is kind of crazy. Now, what does that mean? If you don't obey your parents, you'll be cursed. That probably means Mama Leslie is going to come and beat your hind end if you don't listen to her, right? So that's your curse. But I don't think that there's some kind of supernatural miracle or that God, if you obey your parents, that God's going to say, okay, well, every time you obey your parents, that's another year onto your life. Or, you're going to live an extra 10 years or 20 years because you obey your parents. I think what it's talking about is that your parents, if you obey your parents and listen to them, that just some of those things that they try to tell you to do can help you live longer, not cause you to live longer, not some supernatural thing where you're going to live longer, but to help you to live longer. Because think about it. We as parents, now I know that y'all look at us like we have no clue what y'all have been through or what you're going through in your life. Y'all think that we're just old and we're out of touch and out of reach and all that stuff, and we don't understand. But we've actually been there. I mean, surprisingly, we've all been teenagers at one point in our lives. So, and the problem is, yes, some of us, we forget what it feels like to be a parent. To be a teenager. But we've been there. And that's why the Bible says you'll live longer if you listen to your parents, because we know the knucklehead things that we've done before. We know the mistakes that we've made. We know what our parents told us not to do, or the commandments that they told us, the rules that they told us not to do. And maybe we broke those and we experienced the heartache behind it. Parents, we know what's dangerous for our kids. We know that it might be dangerous for our 12-year-old to take his bicycle and ride down the middle of Highway 27 by himself. So yeah, of course that's going to be a rule. You see, we as parents, we might seem like we don't understand what it's like to be a teenager, but we do understand what it takes to keep y'all safe. And that's really all that we care about. Our biggest fear as parents is something happening to our kids. So yes, we have our rules, and every parent's going to have their rules a little bit different. And not only just keeping you safe, but protecting you from yourself of decisions that you make, because we've made those same decisions, or we've seen other people make those decisions, and we know the heartache and the broken heartness of you making those mistakes. So when it comes down to it, we're not just trying to be mean parents. We do everything we do because we care. And most of the time, guys, have y'all ever heard your parents say, because I told you so? And, it's like, why do I have to do this? Why do I have to do that? Because I told you so, right? And it's one of those parents or one of those things that we say that we know why we're asking you to do something or telling you not to do something. And we have a reason behind it, but we don't feel like we have to explain it. I've learned that the more I do explain it, though, the more my kids understand it. So if we want to live longer, then we take the advice of obeying our parents. And I know it's kind of boring, and I know it's frustrating sometimes, and I know that we look at our parents like we're so clueless. But I want to tell you a quick story. It's kind of like a crazy, out there story that's actually in the Bible. In Genesis chapter 22, verse 2, the Bible says that God told Abraham, and Abraham was the one that's going to be the father of many nations. He's the one that God took him out and said, look at the stars, and your descendants are going to be more than all the stars in the sky that you can see. And so the story usually is about Abraham and his faith that he had to be able to do what God asked him to do. But God asked him to do something like totally crazy, and it doesn't sound like the God we serve. He told him to take his one son, the son that he promised, to start his generations of family, his descendants, with his one son. And he told him to take him up to a mountain and to sacrifice him. Now, as a parent, I look at this story and I'm like, God, I love you, but could I do something like that? Because my purpose in life as a parent is to keep my kids safe. Now, another thing, and I forgot to say this, so I'm going to back up really quick, but another thing, our job as parents is to develop your character for later in life. Because if I give you, we as parents, if we just give y'all everything, now my heart might be a little bit different, and I want my kids to just always be happy and always get what they want. But I know that if I spoil my kids, or parents, if your parents just spoil you and give you everything you want, then your character is not going to be what you could be later in life. You'll just be spoiled, and you just expect the world to give you everything, and that's not cool. And that's not how the world works. So when we say no, sometimes it might be that we really want to say yes, but we can't, because we know that because we care more about your character. And I tell my kids all the time. And I know that they're sick of hearing this, but I tell my kids that I'm more concerned about your character than your comfort. Okay. And also, teenagers, remember this one phrase: fairness ended in the Garden of Eden. All right. So back long ago, when Adam and Eve messed up and took the apple and sin entered into the world, fairness ended back there. So we live in a life that's not fair, but we do live where we as parents, we do want the best for our kids. But anyhow, back to my story. I'm sorry, I've just chased a rabbit there. Abraham was supposed to go take his son Isaac and sacrifice him. And the crazy part of this whole story is Isaac was faithful to his father. And the Bible even says that they were like halfway up the mountain and they were getting the altar, or the wood and stuff like that for the altar. And in verse 7 of 22, Isaac finally speaks up and he says, Dad, I see, like the matches, and I see the lighter fluid, and I see the wood for the offering, and I see your knife, that big old knife that you got. But where's the lamb? Because usually if they're going to sacrifice something, they're going to take the lamb or whatever they're sacrificing with them. And so he finally asks him, and Abraham's like, he lies to him, basically. He does. He says, God will provide. And so maybe, that was Abraham's faith. And actually in Hebrews, it said that Abraham actually believed that if he did have to sacrifice Isaac, that God would have raised Isaac from the dead, okay? But all through this passage in 22, it kept saying that God was testing Abraham, not saying that God ever wanted him to do it, but Abraham didn't know that. So they get up to the top of the mountain where they're going to do the sacrifice, and the Bible says that Abraham tied Isaac up. It says he bound him up. So he ties his hands and his feet. Now, Abraham was really, really old at this time. Isaac was a teenager at this time. So it would be kind of like, me trying to tie up, Christopher or Anthony or something, where they're twice as strong as I am and they could kick my butt or at least run away, because I couldn't even run like 5 feet and try to catch them. But the Bible says that Isaac, this is crazy. Isaac allowed his father to tie him up. Now, do you think he was just dumb and naive and like, okay, God's going to provide and you're tying me up because you don't want me to run away? You want me to watch the sacrifice? No, homeboy knew what was coming and he still obeyed and had the faith in his father, just like Abraham had the faith in God, his father. And he allowed him to tie him up. And then he allowed him to lay him on the altar. And then the Bible says that Abraham is probably the hardest thing he ever had to do. The Bible says he picks up that knife and he starts to come down, and an angel yells out for him and says, Abraham, Abraham, don't lay a hand on your son. What do you think Isaac was thinking about at that moment? Thinking my life is over, but I'm still going to obey my parents. Now, guys, it doesn't talk about the faith of Isaac. It never really, the Bible even doesn't even talk about the obedience of Isaac to allow his father Abraham to do that. But look between the lines and see what the faith that Isaac had in his father, the trust that he had. Now, my question is this, okay? So it's a crazy story. If Isaac could have that much trust in his parents, in his father, and obedience in his father, because I wouldn't, and I don't think God would ever ask any of y'all to show your obedience that much. But what kind of faith or obedience can you have in your parents to trust that they know what's best for you? So if we're not asking y'all to lay down on the altar, maybe we're just asking y'all to trust us that we care about you, to trust us that we have your best interest in mind, to trust that we just simply want to keep you safe and keep you from hurting yourself, keep you out of danger, and develop your character. So maybe, guys, if we could look at it a little bit different, this whole subject of obeying our parents, respecting authority, because I think that your generation right now is losing so much respect in authority. What if y'all actually started looking at life a little bit different, looking at your parents a little bit different, and seeing, listen, your parents, one, they're not perfect, and we know that. They make mistakes. We all make mistakes. And your parents, guys, they have stress, especially during this pandemic right now that's going on. Parents have stress. Parents have financial problems. We stress about how we're going to pay bills. We stress how we're going to buy you school clothes. We stress sometimes about even how we're going to feed y'all, or what's going to be for dinner. And sometimes, all we hear is like, what's for dinner? When's dinner? How about showing your parents love and appreciation for what they do? And guys, your parents sometimes, parents have feelings. Sometimes, parents cry at nighttime after you go to bed because of the stress of the day. Sometimes parents most of the time, we don't allow y'all to know the problems that we're going through. But if you're just, your obedience, your respect, and just your character, just your concern, sometimes would go a long, long way with us parents, with your parents. Just telling them that you appreciate them, that you love them. And don't question them, because they know what's best for you. So guys, Christopher, in one of his things that he said that he wants to be that guy that listens to his parents. I challenge you to make this one of your things. To respect, to obey, and to try to look behind the scenes and understand what your parents are going through, and try to understand why your parents are telling you to do what they're telling you to do. That they're just trying to keep you safe. All right, guys. I love y'all, and I'll see you next week. The winner of this week's gift certificate to Starbucks is, are y'all ready for it? Now you have to be watching to be able to win this, all right? So Haley Barfield, you are the winner this week. Tune on next week to see who wins the gift certificate next week. Haley, just give me a call. And in fact, I'm not even going to give it to you until you call me and tell me that you watched the service tonight. All right, guys. Talk to you later. Love y'all. Bye.
Hey y'all, thanks for tuning into our worship service. I hope that it was fulfilling for you. I hope it was challenging for you. And I hope you feel inspired to go and make this world a little bit better of a place, starting with yourself. Thank you for tuning in. But it doesn't have to stop now. Log on to my Zoom. It's going to be great. I'm going to be there. We can talk about everything that we listened to from Eddie. We can share ideas of what we can do in the future with the youth ministry and with the future of our county, because we don't have to just take care of ourselves. We can take care of all those around us. There's so many things that we have to talk about. Log on. Check us out. If you don't have Zoom, you can download the app on your phone. You can put it on your tablet, I think. You can throw it on your computer. And this is the meeting code you're going to need. It is 740-160-7626. That is my personal meeting ID on Zoom. Log on. Sometimes it makes you put in a password. If you do have to put in a password, 0. Big ol' 0. That's all it is. 0, not the letter O, the number 0, meaning nothingness. That's my favorite password. Anyways, if you had to have one, that's the one. And if you need to put it in, 0. Join my meeting.